Good afternoon, and welcome to our informational session for the Masters of Science in Regenerative Medicine and Entrepreneurship. Okay, I'm going to review the agenda for today. The introduction of faculty and staff. The RGME overview will cover curriculum, research opportunities, internship opportunities, application process, financial aid, and any administrative questions you may have. And if you have questions, there is a slot on the screen. It's called chat. If you could enter your questions in there, and then when we get to the end of the session, we'll start answering some of those questions for you. The faculty and staff members, Dr. Tracy Baumfield. She's the director of the Regenerative Medicine and Entrepreneurship Master's Program. And I am Melanie Prestige. I am the Training and Educational Program Administrator. Dr. Baumfield?
Yeah, so welcome to our webinar. We're very happy to have you. So let me tell you a little bit about our program. We call it RGME for short, Masters of Regenerative Medicine and Entrepreneurship. We are housed within the National Center for Regenerative Medicine, and this is a platform which has been over the years a place which facilitates translational research, clinical applications, commercialization, regenerative medicine, and that really is connecting the commercial entity to academic partners. Dr. Stanton Gertson, who is our Dean of the School of Medicine, is really the brainchild of our GME, and we've developed the programming really to go around a lot of what the NCRM, or National Center for Regenerative Medicine, is about. And some of this is because many of our faculty are actually initiators or historical contributors to the field of regenerative medicine, including our Dr. Arnold Kaplan, who is the mainstay for the entire industry of mesenchymal stem cell therapeutics. Dr. Hillard Lazarus, in collaboration with Dr. Kaplan and Dr. Gerson, was one of the first individuals or first clinicians to institute mesenchymal stem cells with hematopoietic transplantations to improve engraftment and to prevent graft versus host disease. So NCRM itself was initiated in 2003. We have grown considerably, and now we go across all of the local institutions, and that is who our co-directors of where they're coming from. Dr. William T., who is from Metro Health Medical Center, Dr. Tim Chan, who's at the Cleveland Clinic, and Dr. Colin Van Basen, who is from University Hospitals. And together we run this program as an integration throughout all the healthcare networks within Northeastern Ohio. Next slide, please. So our curriculum is a 30 credit hour master's degree, and it can be done in either 18 months or in 2 years. And this is really involving a lot of what the students want in terms of internship and exposure to the faculty. The core courses provide the foundational elements, including stem cell biology, biomedical engineering, medical product development, federal regulations, bioethics, commercialization, entrepreneurship, intellectual property, marketing, all of these types of aspects of the regenerative field. In addition, the students get to select an independent study, and that's either a hands-on laboratory research or an industry internship. That can also be housed within the business school, and you can learn how to do things that are more on tech transfer, regulatory pieces, intellectual property, learning some of those issues. In lieu of a thesis, students create a public presentation and written scientific project through the program. Next slide, please. This is our basis for the coursework. The first year, you'll take Foundations of Regenerative Medicine in your fall semester, followed by Stem Cell Biology and Therapeutics in your second semester, and that has more to do with production, manufacturing, and regulatory pieces. To complement that, in your fall semester, you take contemporary biology and biotechnology for innovation. And then the second part of that, where you actually write a grant proposal and learn how to defend it and learn how to propose it, which is contemporary biology, biotechnology for innovations 492. You would also take electives, and the way our program is set up is you take an equal number of electives in the business side or managerial side as you do on the biological side. If we look at the second year, which is the next slide, you can see that you can incorporate independent study or your research project. And a lot of our students do that over the summer between their first and second year. It's required that they take RGME 467, which is commercialization and intellectual property management. But you can also take, then you would also take the business elective and a biology elective, depending upon how you distribute them. And you have to take 2 electives in each after the primary coursework. Next slide, please. Some of the business development program electives are ENTP 402, which is starting and managing successful startups. We have new enterprise development, technology, entrepreneurship, and market opportunity analysis, technology, entrepreneurship, managerial decision-making, patent preparation and prosecution, commercialization, and intellectual property management. And I can tell you, you can also be very creative in picking out your business electives, and that at the outcome of your master's in regenerative medicine, you can also get certification in business management, entrepreneurship, through a program that we're interfaced with now, which is called the Fusion program. Next slide, please. In terms of a science association, of course, we're Case Western Reserve. We have a lot of different focuses in terms of the science and how you can apply that to the regenerative field. And it really goes across all of the schools at Case Western Reserve, including the School of Arts and Sciences, School of Engineering, School of Dentistry, School of Nursing, School of Medicine, and so much more here. Some of the courses are cells and pathogens, communication and clinical research or grant writing, polymers and medicine, fundamentals in immunology, principles of pharmacology, basic cancer biology and interface with clinical oncology, and topics in cell and molecular pharmacology. Next slide, please. Here are some more. So what I have listed on here is also BEP 503, research ethics and regulation. And the reason for that is that when we get to our electives, one of the things that our students enjoy is being able to pick an elective. And we have a lot that are listed in our program, but really students are allowed to pick any course that is offered at Case Western Reserve. And they're allowed to petition to me regarding the appropriateness of the course for the program. So let me give you an example, and that's what this red one is, this 503, research ethics and regulation. Next slide, please. So in the coursework in RGM, the same principles apply for picking business management and electives. All electives have to be approved by myself. And graduate students cannot take 300 level courses for their master's degree. So you have to take 400 level courses enough. And this is an example. A student really wanted to take this BEP 503, and they wanted to see if this could be appropriate for their programming, because their interest really was more on the managerial side. So I asked them to go out and give me an idea of why they think that this was appropriate for their personal programming in the master's program for their electives. And that's outlined in this next slide, where they actually sent me the syllabus. They highlighted those issues that are related, which this one is obviously very appropriate. Ethical issues that arise in implementation of biobanks and stem cell research are discussed in this course, and there are challenges that are associated with that. And so this individual wants to actually be involved with a biobank as an ultimate career goal. So now let's look at our 2-year program. So beginning in the fall, you have coursework and science electives. Over the summer, in between your first and second year, you usually do your internship. A lot of our students do, although you can take the internship along with your courses over the semester. And then your second year, 2023-2024, you would again continue on your coursework and take more electives as you would see fit. So let me give you some research and internship examples. You get exposure to different types of stem cells: immune stem cells, T cells, natural killer cells, myeloid cells, epithelial cell-based, mesenchymal, biomaterial incorporated, induced pluripotent stem cells, and etc. You have integration between different applications based upon perspectives, biomaterial engineering, drug delivery systems, tissue regeneration, tissue support technology, and then applications to a host of diseases like rheumatoid arthritis, Crohn's, cystic fibrosis, neurological diseases, ulcerative colitis is just some of the examples. We also have programs in 3D printing of cells for specific applications based upon engineering principles. We delve very deeply into the regulatory processes required for the Federal Drug Administration approval and investigation of new drug submission, and then commercialization principles, intellectual property, and regenerative medicine. So possible experiential internships. Of course, you have a whole host of faculty at all of the institutions, and that is Metro Health Medical Center, Cleveland Clinic, University Hospitals, Case Western Reserve, Lewis Stokes Veterans Hospital. We've even had individuals be placed at Ohio State University, at Nationwide Children's. So we're expanding even beyond our borders. Some possible internships with commercial are listed here. Athersys, which is a clinical stage biotechnology company, and they're sort of re-envisioning themselves, and will be an exciting thing to see where that goes downstream. Abiona is a local-based company to deliver gene and cell therapies. Hamia did synthetic platelet technology to aid in supplemental blood and clotting potential. Ohio State, we have collaborations with Dr. David Deans. As I suggested, Nationwide Children's, Cleveland Cord Blood is also another aspect, and Forge Biologics, which is a Columbus-based gene therapy company. So let me let Melanie talk about, or Ms. Prestige talk about the application process.
Okay, now that you guys learned a little bit more information about regenerative medicine and the master's program, how do you apply? So what you need to do is you go to the School of Graduate Studies, to their website, and there's an online application to start your application. What is required, we have a process called a pre-screening interview. What it is that we require the statement of purpose, your resume or CV, and all your grade transcripts. And you upload those to your application. And I am checking on those daily. And I actually take those and I forward, if you have those 3 required documents, I will upload those and forward them on to the admission committee. And what the pre-screening application process is, it just kind of gives you and us an understanding of who you are, if you're considered a strong candidate, and if the process comes back that we are to proceed forward with your application, it's a very strong recommendation that you need to send in 2 letters of recommendation. And if you are an international student, you will need to have your TOEFL or the IELTS sent in the test scores. That's only for international students. But the pre-screening kind of gives you an idea if you are a good, strong candidate for our program. And then our admission dates and our submittal dates are March 15th with the notification by April 15th. April 15th to be submitted, and with a June 15th notification. And July 15th is our very last day to submit your application for an August 1st notification. Also to noted on, I think it's the April 15th, this is the deadline, the absolute deadline for international students who are interested in coming to the United States and is in need of a new visa. Because of the process now, since everything has happened with COVID, the process is taking longer, and the appointments are taking much longer to get set. So a lot of admissions of students who are supposed to be coming last year weren't able to make it because of their visa. They didn't plan appropriately. Of course, financial aid is always a question I get from other students. I kind of put on one side here, international students, what is available in the United States to offer international students, which really isn't much. There's private loans. You can go to outside scholarships, or you can actually become an employee at Case Western Reserve. And by working at Case Western Reserve, I believe you have to work your 6 months, and then you are allowed to have 2 classes per semester that are paid for by the school. So that's a great opportunity if you're able to find a position. The domestic students have a little bit more options for them. They have annual student loans, subsidized and unsubsidized loans, Grad Plus or Parent Plus loans, and then of course the student employment at Case Western. I strongly recommend, though, especially for the international students, that they reach out and stay in contact with International Student Affairs. That is primary. Their sole focus is to focus on international students and helping them in every way possible to become adjusted and answer other questions they have regarding all their financial aid. Any other questions, even your I-20s? Okay, now do we have any questions? I've received a couple questions prior. So if you have any additional questions, please enter them in the chat. Okay, Dr. Baumfield, one question is, are there any specific requirements pertaining to like certain classes or courses that you should have taken in your undergrad or required for the program?
I think the only major requirement for the program is you need to have an understanding of cell biology. So sometimes we'll have individuals who come that have a very strong business background, but very little in the field of biology. And that doesn't preclude their acceptance. What it does is I suggest they take a course prior to starting in the program that gives them some background in cell biology so that they understand, sort of the nuts and bolts of a cell. Sometimes for students, I suggest if they've had no exposure to business principles, I suggest that they also can take these things are the biology is really, if you've never had a biology class, I have to require you to take that because you have to know what a cell is before you come into the program so that you understand cell biology and biotechnology, that type of thing. But for the business principles, I suggest to students that they can take a course to give them some grounding in business principles, but it's certainly not required. I would say one of the advantages of our program and one of the things that I very much love about my program is that I like the diversity in student thought, and I like the diversity in student background. I like students to bring in a very unique perspective. I think it grows the class. I think it grows our program. I think we are in a constant state of learning and applying our program to allow students to grow and learn what they're passionate about and what their ultimate goal will be when they graduate with a master's in RGME.
Thank you. Another question that we received, is the program flexible?
The program is pretty flexible. It's really geared for full-time, 3 classes every semester. But I have had students that have come through. We've had students that have come through and taken 2 classes a semester. An employee at Case Western Reserve, you can take 2 classes for free a semester. And so some people choose that route. If you're coming in as a full-time student, you can take 3 courses a semester. It sort of depends on your timeline and what you want to do and how you want to do it. There is some restrictions in terms of how long. In other words, you can't exactly come and take 1 course and then don't take a course and then come back and take a course later. There are some restrictions in terms of time, and there are some restrictions in terms of participation in the program. But we're happy to work with you, whatever that looks like.
Thank you. Another question that we received is, how many students does the program take each year?
So we have accepted up to 15 students. I would say in the context of COVID, which we really started our program the year before COVID hit. And so we really have had an enrollment of around 7 or 8 students a year, but we accept up to 15.
Perfect. And one more question. This is kind of a general question. It's in regards to living in Cleveland and campus life. Is there any perspective that you could give?
So it's a great question, because if you're going to go someplace and go to school for a couple of years, you want to know what the area is like. I think the thing that I tell students, and I have students in my own lab from, undergraduate schools from all over, and medical students, etc. And the thing I tell them is that, Cleveland has a very low cost of living. Case Western Reserve is in a place where it's pretty easy to get non-expensive housing, pretty close by, walkable, safe walking distance, availability of, the things you need, like a grocery store and some restaurants and fun things to do with your friends, all of that type of thing. The school itself and the general area has a wide ethnicity and diversity, which is great for our students to grow and thrive in. And we feel very strongly about those types of things as a school and as a program. The other thing is there's a lot of things to do in Cleveland in terms of, there's a lot of parks. There's the Cleveland Orchestra, which is, internationally known. There's our school is within easy walking distance of the Art Museum, the History Museum. We have the Institute of Music. If you love music, you can take classes and you can go, have your own little practice room, and there's all kinds of things that you can do. That we are very close to Cleveland Institute of Art, and students can enjoy taking art classes and do different things with that. And that's still within walking distance. We have a pretty good transportation system with busing and with a rapid transit, which goes pretty good west and east, not as far out east as I live, but it does really pretty good to all the main areas for students.
Great. Thank you very much. Well, that's all the questions I have. If you have any additional questions afterwards, please email me at rgme@case.edu, and I will get the answer to you quickly. Is there anything else you'd like to say before we sign off today, Dr. Bonfield?
It was very nice to have this opportunity to speak with you. Thank you for joining the webinar, and please reach out if you have any questions about our programming.
Thank you very much. And I will be sending out a copy of the recorded webinar to each one of you. I have all your emails. So hope you enjoyed it and have a great afternoon.